he's basically saying, why don't you hate the brown man instead of me? Yeah, no thank you, Jamie. It's nothing but a lie. Everyone knows it's a lie. The middle class will be punished on your behalf, Jamie Dimon. But you'll pay half or a quarter of what they pay. It's disgusting.
You are the mayor of a major city. You're not a diplomat. You're not an ambassador. What the F are you doing in Ghana?
Your hatred of Palestinians and your deep lust for murdering them is what's actually racist and bigoted.
If they want the money, then there should be consequences where they have to change their policies.
State and local leaders were derelict in their duty in many respects. So that's something that has to be factored in. I think there should probably be conditions on that, Dave.
Senator, why should other states be bailing out California for choosing the wrong people to run their state?
We shouldn't be. They got 40 million people in that state, and they voting these imbeciles in office.
First off, yes, there's tons of mismanagement, but no, I do not agree to this. I'm actually furious about it. So, okay, Tommy Tuberville talking about imbeciles. You kidding me? One of the biggest imbecile in Congress, and he comes from the state of Alabama. Next time there's a natural disaster in Alabama, I'm going to talk about how every moron Republican mayor and governor and senator in Alabama doesn't deserve any money until they fix how stupid they are. Okay, so look, don't come telling us about how you are so much better and you're not going to give us relief after the blue states have contributed to the red states every single time, and we never question they're utter imbeciles in charge in those states. But now all of a sudden they're like, no, when it comes to California, we don't want to pay because they're jerks. They're selfish pricks. And they're like, when it's me, I deserve all the money. But if it's a blue state, oh, no way. Unless you elect Republicans, we're going to withhold the money. No, hell no, hell no. And this is a terrible precedent because if this happens, then every time there's a Republican president, the blue states are not going to get any help at all, whether they burn to the ground or not. And if the Democrats have any sense, if they win, then they're going to say to the red states, all right, that's it. You guys made a mistake. You elected the wrong people with a bunch of dumbass Republican politicians. Now you're not getting any money. If you drowned in the South because of the hurricanes, your goddamn problem, not my problem. All right, let's talk about the moron Greg Abbott in Texas. Are we talking about that? He let his citizens freeze to death. Why? As always, same reason as California, to protect his donors. Because all those electric companies and those utilities had donated to Governor Abbott. So what, we should have let those people freeze to death? Because Abbott's a crook and he's an imbecile? No, we go help American citizens where they are. This kind of talk will lead to civil war politically, where we will just divide into blue states and red states. We have been incredibly honest about how incompetent Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom has been in this regard. If they do this, they're going to force everyone back into their partisan camps, and then next time there's any kind of natural disaster in a red state, we're all going to have to now find out all the things that every single elected Republican in that state did wrong. Sorry, we're not giving you money. Sorry, don't care that you froze to death or you drowned or you burned to death because I'm playing politics over here. No, avoiding responsibility by saying you're politicizing it is gross. I hate it, and I've come out against it. But then if you're gonna actually politicize it and go, no, I'm not gonna give to you because you voted for the wrong people, then you're at fault. The Republicans are 100% at fault here for politicizing this in a disgusting way. And let's be honest, they don't want to give us the money because they are selfish pricks. And if it's their precious ass, no, give me the money, give me the money. You better not do it. Red states are so precious. They're the real Americans. They're the real Americans. You're gonna give us the money, okay? And now, when California needs it, I don't want to give it to you. Okay, duly effing noted.
We hear about the upcoming wins. Look, we were not surprised by this. I want people to not make the mistake of drinking the Democratic Party's Kool-Aid on this, because we were getting reports about the intense Santa Ana winds and the upcoming fire weather almost a week in advance. I knew about the fire winds and all of that the Friday before the fires started on Tuesday. Now I bring that up because There was nothing wrong with the actual structure of that Santa Ynez reservoir. It was just the floating cover that had issues. So if I were the mayor of Los Angeles, knowing that these winds are coming, knowing that those winds could create a terrible, hazardous wildfire situation, I would hurry up and fill that reservoir. Not really concerned about the debris getting into that reservoir because we might need that reservoir specifically to fight fires. She didn't do that though, did she, Cenk? She knew about the winds. She knew they were coming. And what did she do? She went on a taxpayer-funded trip. Us Angelinos paid for her to travel abroad to Ghana, okay? For what? For something important that's gonna benefit the people of Los Angeles? No, to watch their incoming president get inaugurated.
Yeah.
You are the mayor of a major city. You're not a diplomat. You're not an ambassador. What the F are you doing in Ghana?
Yeah.
Why were you not here preparing for a potential disastrous wildfire? The fact that she went to Ghana, Cenk, isn't just about the waste in taxpayer money. It isn't just about her absence. It's about the fact that it shows that she underestimated what was about to come. She didn't have the foresight because she doesn't care. That's the issue here.
There's a sense of gloom out there about the economy. Do you understand that?
I do understand it because I think there are a lot of legitimate concerns that Americans have. For example, ineffective government, they're angry about it. They're angry about immigration. You want to help all Americans grow the economy. You can well at the moon. That's not going to grow the economy. And if there are unfair things that created some of that wealth, they should be fixed.
But I'm not hearing you say there's something wrong here, that these billionaires are growing like poppy. And I mean, what is it, the tax laws?
If I was king for a day, I would probably change a bunch of the tax laws too, which I'm not going to give you specifics on. I think the wrong part is that the bottom 30% didn't do better, not that the top 0.1% did so well.
Why not? What's wrong with saying that?
They may be unrelated.
It was telling me she said, is it the taxes or something? Yeah, Leslie, it's the taxes.
Partly, yeah. Partly.
By the way, you should ask him about those specific questions because then he went on to say, I'm not going to give you specifics on the tax proposals. You know why? He doesn't want taxes to be increased. Every one of his proposals would be to decrease taxes on billionaires to rob us even more. What a giant liar. If he never means it when he talks about any kind of reform. The most overrated man in American media history is Jamie Dimon. Every time anybody's going into office, whether they're a Republican or Democrat, is Jamie Dimon going to be the Treasury Secretary? Oh, Jamie Dimon. Jamie Dimon's the representative of the obscenely rich. He's not on our side. So the way that the media had constantly kissed his ass was grating on our nerves. He doesn't want you to focus on the real problem, which is that the incredibly rich and powerful are the ones who set the rules. They set the rules by giving politicians all of that money, over $650 million in just one election cycle from a tiny group of them, right? They set the rules. So what does Jamie Dimon want you to do? He wants you to focus on immigrants who have no power and no money. So he misdirects you from, hey, we're having a conversation about income inequality and how the billionaires are rigging the rules in their favor. And he's like, well, I see what they're saying about the immigrants. Okay, look, you could have legitimate critique of immigration policy, but that's not this conversation at all. He's basically saying, why don't you hate the brown man instead of me? Yeah, no thank you, Jamie, no thank you. So now, look, if you want real suggestions, you undo all of the rigging that they did. And I hate that no one in mainstream media knows anything. So they can't actually ask a smart question about this. So here's 5 easy ones, and we can give you dozens of these. One, close the carried interest loophole. Carried interest loophole allows these bankers to pretend that their salaries, that the income that they get from investing other people's money is somehow their investment money, but it isn't. It's their income. We all have to pay whatever's the top rate, and if you're as rich as Jamie Dimon, at around 40%, right? But no, not those guys. They pay way, way, way lower, pretending that they're investing their own money. It's nothing but a lie. Everyone knows it's a lie. And yet corporate Democrats and corporate Republicans are like, yes, sir, Jamie Dimon. Yes, sir, we'll rig it right away. So that the average guy, and by average guy, in this case, I also mean dentists and accountants and doctors, they're gonna have to pay the maximum. The middle class will be punished on your behalf, Jamie Dimon. But you'll pay half or a quarter of what they pay. It's disgusting. What's wrong with the economy isn't immigration. It's that wages have not gone up, adjusted for inflation, in about 50 years, because Jamie Dimon and all of his buddies took all of the money home, literally trillions of dollars that they took from the rest of us by buying off the politicians and getting them to change the laws so that only the rich are benefiting and not the rest of us.
Why is it the responsibility of American citizens to bankroll the slaughter that the Israeli Defense Forces are currently carrying out in the Gaza Strip? Because we are the ones funding it. Okay, while our own country falls apart, while our own people are suffering within the borders of our own country, our government has been shelling out our resources to a foreign country that had an economic surplus in 2021. When was the last time we had an economic surplus? Oh, that's right, that was in 2001. Our country falls apart, and people like Senator Tom Cotton collect our money and ship it over to a foreign country that's literally using it to carry out war crimes as we speak. That's who Tom Cotton is. Tom Cotton is neoconservatism personified. That's who he is.
Back to the propaganda you normally hear from mainstream media, they will always say, oh, but Israel disputes the 46,000 number because they say Hamas. Like they will say, oh, the Hamas health ministry has given that to you. Just saying Hamas in a sentence doesn't prove a goddamn thing. Remember, even if you take Israel's wild, outrageous, obviously made up numbers, these days they're claiming, they change the number all the time. These days they're claiming that 17,000 of the people killed were militants. And then press asked them, oh, that's super interesting number. Where'd you get that number from? And they're like, nowhere. They're hilarious. They just make stuff up. But even if you believe that number, which you shouldn't believe at all, it's an outrageous, ridiculous lie based on absolutely no evidence. But even if you believed it, that leaves 30 to 50,000 civilians killed. Remember, all of this was because 860 Israeli civilians were killed. So now they're saying we've murdered 30 to 50,000 in retaliation for the 860, less than 1,000 for civilians. There was also military killed on October 7th. But you see, our civilians are worth more than 50 of your civilians because we are superior to you. And we get to colonize you, we get to murder you, and we get to take your land. So this is yet another piece of overwhelming evidence that adds on to the genocide and ethnic cleansing that the terrorist state of Israel has been doing for well over a year now. To them, their one excuse for everything is everybody's an anti-Semite. The whole world's against us. So no, we're not the ones lying. Literally everyone else on earth, all of the press, also, by the way, including tons of Jewish members of the press, all the human rights groups, tons of Jewish members in the human rights groups, etc. They're all lying. They're all anti-Semites. Israel says we provide no evidence at all. All we just say is Muslim dirty terrorist. You have to believe us, otherwise you're an anti-Semite. No, everyone putting out those statements and all the people in the cabinet in this right-wing government of Israel, they're all deep bigots. They're like the worst bigots on earth. They think Muslim lives are totally and utterly worthless. And so I'm not interested in what these racists think is anti-Semitic, okay? No, none of that. Anytime you hear an Israeli, I'm not talking about American Jews, there is anti-Semitism across the world and there is here in America. But when you hear a monster terrorist from the Israeli government talking about anti-Semitism, that's to cover up their own bigotry and racism, which is 1,000 times worse than any so-called anti-Semitism at Lancet, at the Lancet Journal, one of the most respected medical journals in the world. You'd have to be a lunatic to believe that that's driven by anti-Semitism. It's driven by data and science. Your hatred of Palestinians and your deep lust for murdering them is what's actually racist and bigoted. And when you say 50 of your people murdered is not equivalent of one of ours, that is by definition racist. There's no defense of Israel left that isn't based on racism. We get to murder 50 times, 100 times more than they kill of ours. Why? Because their lives are worthless and our lives are superior. And the most important thing in the world, America, send me more of your money. I haven't murdered enough Palestinians yet. That's what I think of this disgusting Israeli government.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.